I was tricked into couples therapy with the avoidant. This right here is BS I had to put up with from the avoidant. So they were living here for about a good 10 months, and I didn't like the way that this was going. We were walking on constant eggshells with her children. Any explosion, anything we did to displease them was an epic temper tantrum. And these are like teenagers all the way to 7 years old. It was an issue. So I got to a point where I wasn't even comfortable leaving her son like alone with my daughter because of some of the things that he would do and say to her. And I got to a point one day and I said, "Look, like he needs therapy. Like we need to look into this. Like some of the stuff that's being said is not normal, right?" So she told me, first she tells me she called the school and that her kid's school said that he's a normal kid and everything's fine. I'm like, anybody who has spent any time with this child, anybody will back me up on this. There's something up. So she told me that she found a therapist that would take all of us in, but how she wanted to talk to the avoidant and I first. I'm like, fine, whatever gets this done, because I want to make this work out. But like again, I can't be afraid to leave my daughter alone at the house with your son. I'm not gonna live alone. I'm not gonna expose her to that. So we go to this therapist a couple times. And what's funny is in the early sessions, like I went first, then she went first. There was a time that both of us were supposed to go together. And guess what? She didn't show up. After a while, I was like, wait a minute, we have not brought up these kids once. We're like talking about ourselves. Like this is couples therapy. But I'm like, all right, like if this is couples therapy, but like I said, I kept thinking like we're gonna do this, and then eventually we're gonna start bringing in like the kids to kind of work through this, yada yada yada. Turns out during one of the alone sessions, the therapist said, "I'm not a family therapist. I'm a couples therapist. I could give you recommendations for family therapy." And I'm sitting here going, like, this whole time, I thought we were working up towards bringing kids in here. Was not the case. And I know now that the avoidant was trying to buy time before she had a safe place to land. And therapy was her way of showing, like, hey, look, like I'm doing something about this. Wasn't what she said she was going to do, though. The sin of omission, as my mom used to call it, was this particular avoidant's favorite lie. She didn't fully lie, but she didn't fully tell the truth. Later on, after discard, I had one of those like am I the narcissist moments? Like am I the problem? So I figured I would go see this therapist and like have her shoot it to me straight. Like, was I the problem? So I go to this therapist, and the therapist was like, like for months I was like roundabout trying to tell you that you needed to get out of this. Like this was a big problem, but I couldn't just say you need to get out of this. And I was like, okay, like, thank you. And she was also like, you're coming in here asking if you're the narcissist, but I'm telling you, you're not the narcissist because narcissistic people don't come into a therapist office and ask, am I the narcissist? Also, she's like, I couldn't say this before because we would, the little boy would come up a lot in our conversations. And she's like, I couldn't say it in front of her because she would have a conniption, but that little boy, like, we can't call him a sociopath because he's under 18. What we say in the therapy community is conduct disorder. The little boy has conduct disorder. It's the lack of empathy, like the outlandish behavior for attention, all of the stuff that I would describe. It's like, yeah, like those are all precursors for someone being a sociopath. But again, since he's under 18, we can't come out and say the word sociopath. So that's funny. Later on down the line, I had another therapist brought up some of the same issues, and without actually saying like what the other therapist, the previous therapist said, she was like, "Oh yeah, it's conduct disorder." And I'm like, "Holy crap!" Like I wasn't crazy, but like, yeah, this is how I was tricked into couples therapy with this avoidant.